Now, I know most of us are expert DMs, but if you're new to DMing, new to the tabletop experience entirely, maybe your creative juices are having a little bit of time coming to the surface, you're just exhausted with time and with energy when it comes to preparing for that game on the weekend, maybe you're just getting into a new version, whether it is Pathfinder or 5e. I'm going to tell you why you should probably try running a pre-made module first. Now, I know writing a campaign for our players is a great way for us to let out all those creative juices, for us to be able to create this world or this scenario or monster that we always have trapped in our head. And it's great if you've played the edition or the game that you're playing for a while. If you're an experienced dungeon master with 20 plus years, but if you're either new to the hobby, just want to try DMing for the first time, just want to try DMing for the first time in that game setting, whether it's 5e, Pathfinder, whatever, then maybe, like I said, we should stick to running something that makes it a little easier on us. And why should we do that? So this is Descent into Avernus. Runs from 1 to 13. And we've seen our fair share of modules around, regardless of what game you're playing. Curse of Strahd is one of the most famous ones. And I know tons of people that have gone through it. That was their first game getting in. It's great. War of the Dragon Queen, as I showed you, was a 1 to 7 module and is followed up by Rise of Tiamat. I believe Tiamat ended us at level 13 or 14. And the second book kind of fell in with us leveling after level 10 much faster than previous. Waterdeep, another great module. It has got a lot of running around with stories. It is also one of the few 5e books that steps you into another module or another campaign, which is Waterdeep, Dungeon of the Mad Mage. Now, Waterdeep takes you from level 1 to 5, doing a multitude of quests and intrigue, and you're going through the sewer. I won't run it for you. Dungeon of the Mad Mage carries you from then all the way to level 20, and it is a deep dungeon that you crawl through, with the main entrance, being in the Yawning Portal in our town of Waterdeep. When you're looking at other settings, things like Pathfinder. Pathfinder has had some of its campaigns go into video games. Some of them from first edition, like Kingmaker, have been placed into second edition. In fact, there are even some that that have been pushed into 5th edition. Things like Abomination Vaults is one of them. And these were written by Paizo. Paizo over the years have written for 5e, for its first edition, and then for its second edition of Pathfinder itself. And I believe now they're writing more content specifically for 5e Dungeons and Dragons. But one of the things that I've seen when it comes to Pathfinder material, especially with what I have the most experience with, being the Pathfinder 1e edition stuff, the adventure paths run to higher levels than most of your 5e D&D stuff does. 5e usually breaks up a lot of their books. You can run several different campaigns or modules that they have set up as you advance in levels, most of them stopping by the time you hit into the teens. Dungeon of the Mad Mage being one of the few, and maybe the only one, when it comes to written by Wizards of the Coast, so it's not third party, that takes you all the way to level 20, for at least for 5e. Now, when it comes to Pathfinder, their adventure paths, APs, things like Kingmaker, which it is a chunk of a book, will run you all the way up to level 20. In fact, now this one, not so much, but there's a lot of them when it comes to the Paizo stuff. Things like Blood Lords. And Blood Lords, I believe, will run you all the way up to level 18. They have a lot of their stuff that runs all the way up to your high levels. A lot of times when we were in 5e, we would run campaigns up, or we ran through Rise of Tiamat, and we ended up stopping before those last 9th level spells or 8th level spells, before that druid got to have their endless shape changing. So you a lot of times are either going to be running third party or just make your own custom games, little adventures. Now this is one of the modules. It's an AP from Paizo. This is Rise of the Rune Lords. This will take you from 1 through 17, with you being 17, that last push to the BBEG. And I find that running a book for the first time really lets you into what you as a GM should be thinking about. It helps you create encounters, lets you see how your players run those encounters, because as you're running through a preset module, not only does it give you levels and you can use milestones, but it will tell you how long and show you how long and how much adventuring you're going to be putting your players through for each level. And I know that even though we have played many years, or we've played a lot of times with different GMs, to run a game yourself is a little bit different, and it takes a little bit different mindset. There are some people that you will do something that is fun, or do something in a way that you would think you would want it, and it doesn't turn out as well as you had hoped. But running a module, you not only get maps, you also, sometimes you can find better ones online that people have done, or just make your own. But the maps are there. They show you the grid, the scales. You have the encounters set up for each square. So you will see how they will position the maps through a dungeon or through the encounter day to wear down the resources, because that's what encounters are supposed to do. They wear down the resources of the party to give them something to overcome. And then you'll see as it gets towards the end of that encounter, either for the day or to a point that they expect your players to have to rest, you will see what they throw at them. That way you're not running down all the resources and then throwing something at them that maybe is a little bit too hard when your players are out of all their resources. Another great thing about running a module, regardless of what setting it is whether you're getting gigantic loot hordes in Tiamat, or if you're getting individual items in one of the other modules you're running. Loot. Seeing how loot is being dropped and used by NPCs. So in 5e, you're going to be running into NPCs with a little scarcer loot, but running through your module, you're going to see how much gold, mundane items, how it's not just, oh, well, you wrecked the dragon sword, so you find 100,000 gold. No. You have so much gold, silver, platinum. You see the items that are put in there. You see the works of art that they put in there, and not just at a random table, but also what has been placed there on purpose. And sometimes when it comes to things that are used later, when it comes to either magical items that help out their party, if they think you need to have more healing potions, how they give you healing potions in a setting. And so I love how when you run a module, it's going to allow you to see how they divide up loot. Monsters, when it comes to certain modules, this is going to be a prime example with a lot of them. Whenever you run through some of the APs that Paizo puts out, is they will have on there not just what the stats are and the gear and the loot, that they have. You can't forget the loot. It's the player's most important thing. But it will also have things like this, which is the morale. And sometimes you'll see this missing in certain pre-constructed, and sometimes we as DMs forget this. But the reason for an NPC being there, or to what extent they truly would have as an NPC fought. Would they fight to the finish because they're a zealot fighting for an order or belief that they believe in? Are they sniveling and cowardly? If you show too much force, are they going to drop back, attempt to bribe you? Maybe they offer you another path, give you information extremely easily as long as you don't punch them in the face. Maybe they fight to a certain point of HP and then they do anything they can to get away. These are things that are good to see and see how your players react to them, because a lot of times we'll put monsters there and we think, oh, our players are just going to murder them, which they very well will. I have had more than one occasion an attempt at begging, pleading, or giving up information ended with an axe to the middle of the skull. But it's a great way for us to see how we should put different morales with different characters depending on what they believe, and also with the mindset of that monster, making you put yourself in their place. So it's just a human, or if it's a goblin, then maybe they don't think too much. They rush in, they get hurt, they rush out, they're cowardly. Maybe it's a knight, or maybe it's a mindless skeleton and they don't do anything but fight to the death because that's all they can think of. But modules help remind us that we shouldn't just plop down encounters into a location for them to be beaten on by our players, but we should put them there and give them life so that our players feel like they're in a world and they don't just see a dice roll, pick up loot, and step to the next room. I think that seeing the overarching quests and how things are knitted together is a great way to help someone create a campaign, especially when you're taking players in your own world from a low level to that mid tier. And I had responded to a post online for someone just a few days ago who had the exact same question about tying in their world, going from 1 to mid-teens or even level 20, and how to do it, and how do you keep up that constant, oh, we're in search for the BBEG. Running a module will help you figure out that maybe at the start, maybe you're just dealing with scared town folks and a few goblins. Maybe the bigger picture isn't seen by your players until much later. So whether you're getting started, picking up something to ease your preparation for your Friday night game, maybe you want to have a little bit of help with your intrigue investigations inside of a large city. Maybe you want to, I don't know, find a way to give your characters the loot with something other than gold, like maybe a house. Pick up a module. Run some preset. See how your players like it. And the worst thing that happens is everyone enjoys themselves, and hopefully you come out with some fresh ideas. Regardless, roll some dice. See you next time. If you like this video, check out my others. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. If you have any tips or requests, drop them in the comments below. And until next time, may your crits be epic, your adventures legendary, and your gaming table filled with laughter.